What?
Bad.
What?
Yes. No, whenever you're up there like emceeing it, that was bad.
Oh, I've got a couple of questions. But, yeah. Can I please?
Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. You're not doing it right. Is that recording?
Now, what I am thinking about doing, okay, and I'll only do this if you all agree to help me out, okay? No, it's a simple deal.
It's a simple deal.
Is this back to the smelly thing again? Okay, no.
Hey, that's
Well, I'm lecturing, he gets no smelly stuff. That's the new classroom rule. I'm just telling you, no smelly stuff for Reese if we lecture.
No, the rest of us can have
Okay.
smelly things, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's only gonna make it worse by antagonizing me. Now that I'm out
At least I don't like
All
shut him
right,
up.
so there used to be an old style cheer where you, and the WSU, or K-State does it, where basically I'm up there, and I'd only do this if, number one, you think it's a good idea, and you all would participate because everybody looks at the senior class. Or it's like, give me an E, an
E.
A,
A.
G,
G.
L, E, an S.
Go Cubbies!
What does that smell?
Eagle.
That's the cheer. Yay or nay?
Yay.
That's it.
That's it.
All right, just don't do it.
Yes, of course do it.
I want to do it.
Give me a C.
Okay, but now, you as seniors have to yell.
Oh, I'll be yelling.
I'll go over there and I'm going to lead my class.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Do it.
What's that? Like
Yes.
Yes.
You mean an E?
No, just that.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, is it recording?
All right.
Yes. It's in the highlights reel. It's going to be in there.
Okay. All right. Now, let's
Are you seriously going back?
I'm going to make one. I'm going to.
Kendra, if you do, I swear, like,
Okay.
you got my vote for president.
She already.
It's my last term.
No, like,
I'm
she's
done.
not, like,
I'm done
president
after
of the
this.
United States.
All right.
I'm talking president of the United States.
Not going for that.
No. Way over it.
Not going that.
Now, let's talk about this graph on number 8.
Okay.
Okay? Let's talk about
Yes.
this graph on
Number one.
I know, dude.
You labeled them. I didn't.
Okay, I need to finish this.
Almost recorded.
Dude,
Okay?
can we record it for our viewers?
Negative 74.
The assembly?
That's what I got. No.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay. So somebody's got, I'll bring the camera down. Somebody's going to.
Maddie's got it.
Okay,
That's all you, Maddie.
It's also that.
try.
Okay, so let's play the what if game. Okay, let's play the what if game. What if we set these here on this inclined plane and we just let go of them? Okay, we just let go. Would the momentum change? Yes. Why? Velocity is going to change. And we're defining up as being positive, so if we just let go of them, no spring, both masses, we just let go, what's it going to do? What would this velocity time graph look like?
Straight down.
Straight down?
Well, not straight down, but yeah, kind of like that, yes.
Maybe something like this?
Yeah.
Constant slope?
Yeah.
Why? What's causing this acceleration?
Gravity.
A component of gravity known as force parallel, right? So if I just let go of it, this would be the graph. Okay, that would be it. Now, but we're not. Now, visualize this. What if I lock the top card in place? Think this through. What if I lock the top card in place, this is held, and I hit the plunger, and that pushes that lower one down? This is locked in place, it can't go anywhere. So the only thing I can draw is what's going to happen with the cart going downhill. What's it going to do? At the initial, we're going to start at 0, so what's it going to do? Now, will it be the exact same nicely sloping line as we had before?
Deeper.
No, when that spring is expanding, what's it going to do? Accelerated. So maybe something like this when that spring is expanding. Then as soon as the spring leaves, then what's it going to do? Then it's going to be like the exact same graph that we had before, right? And it's going to roll, roll, roll. So this is going to start off speeding up very quickly, but as soon as the spring lands or leaves, then it's just going to roll at a constant velocity because the only force acting on it is force parallel. Now, what if we could lock the bottom cart? And this one's now locked in place, and this one's going to be pushed up. Will this one end up going as fast at the end of the expansion as the cart does down here? No, and there's two reasons why. It has two things working against it. What are the two things working against it? You got the force parallel working against it, right? But it also has more mass. Okay? So, is it going to speed up? Yeah. But is it going to speed up as much as this one did?
No.
No. But is the time going to be the same? Maddie, you're doing this kind of circular yes, no, I'll talk myself into it, then I'll talk myself out of it. Okay, look. Can this spring push on the top cart longer than the spring pushes back on the bottom cart?
No.
No.
No. So the times have to be
Equal.
equal.
See?
Kendra, wow,
Got it.
this feeling.
I got it.
Okay. So if this is the time here, right? What's this graph going to look like? Will it go as high or not as high?
Not as high.
Not as high, right? But then, after it leaves, what's it going to start to do?
Roll back down.
It's going to start to roll back down. Now, is this line here going to be parallel with this line here?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Why?
Because they're both experiencing the same parallel force.
Yeah. So this is going to go.
Ellie pretty much. You think? You feel it.
All right.
I was close-ish.
A lot of your answers on number 2 should be the same, but the signs are going to be different. Okay? Yeah? Okay? So here's the satellite.
Law of conservation of momentum.
Yeah, so here's the satellite moving along, right? Does it have a certain amount of momentum? Of course. It's going to explode. So all the parts are going to go flying apart. Are the parts themselves going to have a certain amount of momentum? Yes. And if I add up all those momentums together, it has to equal whatever, not zero, it has to equal whatever the momentum of the satellite was before. No. Okay. Now, on problem number 4, which you have done on another sheet of paper, your velocities and your momentum should be relatively small numbers, like less than 3. Okay? Your forces should be pretty big, but your velocities and momentums are going to be pretty small. Remember, do those on another sheet of paper. On number 3, pay attention. This is a little bit complicated, but just because of the fact that you have 3 people involved. So you got Tony running one way, and then you got Bubba and Leroy running in the opposite direction. Okay, unless it's French, and then it's Leroy. But let's go with Leroy. So we got Bubba and Leroy, right? So you got one of them going in one direction, the other 2 going in the other direction. And if they're going in the other direction, their velocity has to have negative, or you make one of them negative, make one of them positive. Okay, I don't care which one. All right, they just have to have opposite signs when you do your momentum. Okay? Good with that? Anything else? We're good. Okay. So make sure on that chart, wherever there's like a little asterisk,
I am so sorry. Like I was just like chilling and then it started playing.
take that phone, put it over there.
Okay, it's
No, no.
You're not gonna
Nope.
throw it. Oh my god. What the?
Can you put it in there, please? Damn it,
Did
it's
you
literally on
just
your
throw your phone?
Dude, that case is helped me out so much. Damn it, it's on your foot.
Oh my god!
It's a great case. It's $10.
Okay.
This is a commercial now.
Yeah, it really is. Okay.
What?
My expensive get up
All right.
Like housing
So stop that, let me hand out. So this piece of paper that I've given you is, I promise you, there's going to be a problem like this on the test, which is going to be next Thursday, by the way. Okay?
Okay.
So here's the setup. I've got a ball I'm going to hold up to a height of 1.85 meters, which is about like yay. I'm going to drop it, it's going to fall, it's going to hit the ground, it's going to bounce back up. Okay? So, bounces back up to a height of 1 meter, ball is in contact with the floor for 1.28 times 10 to the minus second seconds. So, find the change in momentum while it's in contact with the floor, the required force, sketch the velocity time graph, define down as negative, and the ground as the 0 marker. Okay? So, what we're going to do is we're going to work this through, make sure everybody knows how to do it. Okay? Make sure everybody knows how to do it. Because I promise you on the test, there's going to be a problem like this. Okay? I promise you. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you. So, I just hung that up today. Yeah.
I almost poked my eye out. Yeah, that thing's nice. Looks real good.
Okay. So, here's the setup.
That was how you got it.
Why is that? Why do those things smell so good? It's like flowers and love. Dude, I bet I can walk fast.
This one, negative 1.38.
It's called speed.
It looks soft.
Coming
All right.
to it.
So, let's look at the big picture on this. Let's look at the big picture. So, first off, is the momentum of the ball going to change? Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is, is the momentum of the ball ever constant?
Yeah. Maybe.
Never actually. I mean, when it's in
Probably
contact
not.
with the ground, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
have a constant velocity.
Okay? If it doesn't have a constant velocity,
Yeah.
it can't have a
Constant momentum.
constant momentum. So, if force times time equals change in momentum, and the change in momentum is always a non-zero value, therefore the force acting on it always has to be
Not zero number.
a non-zero value, right? So I have to have some amount of force acting for some amount of time, which is continuously going to change the momentum. Does the same force act on the ball all the time?
Yep. No.
So we're going
Wait.
from here to here. Does the same amount of force act on the ball
Yep.
all the time?
Yeah.
Yes. Everybody's cool with that idea.
Gravity. Of course. The only thing acting on it's gravity.
Really? Nothing else ever acts on it.
Oh,
I mean, the ground.
negative.
Oh, the ground! It's kind of a big deal.
But like, unless, like, that's the only other thing, is what I'm saying.
Okay, but that's kind of a big
But like the
thing.
rest of the time, it's just gravity.
Okay, but while it's in contact with the floor,
You're right.
okay,
Sure.
okay, first time today, mark that off my list. Okay, so let's start with the velocity time graph. And all I want is just kind of a sketch, okay? All I want is just a sketch. So it's going to start at 0, then what's it going to do? Brooklyn, what's it going to do? I want to let go of the ball, what's it going to do? Down is negative. Right. So what's it going to do? Straight line, curved line. Something like this?
Probably since you drew it up there, probably.
Probably because you're
You're
always
doing
right,
the
probably.
No, no, I'm not always right.
Probably.
Most of the
Yeah,
time.
I'm gonna-
You're gonna go with this? You should. So, this is gonna be some negative velocity. Okay, that's the velocity it's gonna have when it hits the ground, right? So, what's the slope of this line? Cubby, what's the slope of this line?
Cubby, if you don't get
He's
this
not a
right,
cubby anymore.
I'm
He's a
personally
bull.
coming over there. Bull.
Positive.
Negative.
Bully.
Negative what?
We'll call him bully.
What?
5. 4. 3.
-2.
Oh, come on.
4.
Shut up.
Negative 12. Is literally what I went
Cubby, what's the only
That
force?
was
I've
so-
dropped the ball.
Cubby!
Cubby!
Yes!
Finally!
Come on!
What do you think about that Derrick Rose trade, man?
Is a good trade.
You honestly think so?
Okay, I honestly want to teach. Good. Now, at this point, it hits the ground. Okay? Ellie, what's the graph going to do at this point?
Go back
Falling,
to 0.
boom, hit the ground.
Go back to 0.
Quickly, or it's going to take a while?
At 1.2.
No, nothing to do with it.
Okay, quickly.
Why?
Because it went from whatever that velocity was to 0 and
Okay, so we're going to hit the ground here, and then it's going to go up like this, right? So this is what we're going to hit. So physically, what's happening to the ball?
Equal and opposite force.
Hitting the ground.
It's hitting the ground. Now, what if I did this with an egg? If I did this with an egg, would the graph do anything beyond this?
No.
No.
That'd be 5.
Okay? Then it just would be a scramble.
Forever.
Okay? Right?
Ever and ever and ever.
Amen.
So, but the tennis ball has the capacity to do what? Compress, right? Just like a
Molecular
spring on the
potential
cart,
energy.
right?
That's
So we're
stored,
storing energy.
it's stored in the molecules.
Yes, the distortion of the molecule.
And at the atomic
Oh, that's
level, you see.
Okay,
Oh wait, you don't care
There's a
about
lot
it.
of
You don't care about
physics.
biology.
you're right, I don't. Now, at this point, the ball is fully compressed. So then what's it going to do?
Expand.
It's going to expand. So is the graph going to come back down like this? Or is the graph going to go up like this? That one. Brooklyn, you feel very confident about that answer.
Yeah,
Why?
right. It goes back up.
Yeah. Does it change direction?
Yeah.
No. Okay. So we've got this action going. Now, is this height here, at this velocity where it goes up to here, is it the same as this velocity that it landed with?
It's a little less.
Why?
Because like gravity's starting to pull down on it.
Well, gravity's pulling down on it when it fell.
But I'm saying like right after it comes up. Wait, what is that moment?
I don't know.
Like what is
This
that
is
little
when it
up
hits.
line? What is the up line on the top
Okay,
of the
this
zero?
is when the ball is compressing.
Yeah.
This is when the ball is expanding.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's going to leave the surface of the floor.
Right at that second.
At that split second right there. So here's my question. Let's just make up a number. Let's say this is -5 meters per second. That's the velocity that it has when it hits. So here's my question. Is this point up here going to be less than 5, like maybe 4, okay, and I'm just talking magnitude, maybe like 4. Is it going to be exactly 5 again, or is it going to be bigger than 5, like maybe 6? Meet, your thoughts.
Pass.
Well, it's not
It
gonna
really
be.
wasn't an option.
It's not gonna be bigger, so we can just.
Yeah, we can just stir kapaya.
Why can't it be bigger? What would that mean?
We like get it. And
Yeah, I dropped the ball
Velocity came out
and it bounced higher.
Yeah.
or even at the same height.
Now, even if it left
Explain a
at
bouncy
5,
ball.
well, even if it left at 5, how high would the ball bounce? To the same height that I dropped it, right?
But it doesn't. So
And it would be cool, because I could drop the ball, walk away, keep lecturing, and the ball would just keep bouncing to the exact same height every time. Oh, it would. That would be
It's such a
phenomenal.
weird concept.
Doink.
So I wish the world was like that. Like, why can't it work like
Because
I'd be
we're
like,
losing
Clean
energy
energy
to
for
food.
everyone.
Clean
I
energy.
feel like that's
Just,
Clean energy.
global
just
warming.
keep going.
Isn't there a way?
So, okay, all right. So, would you agree that this might be like 4, 3, or 4? Okay, so this is when we're going to leave the floor, right? Now, we're going to leave the floor at this point. Brooklyn, you seem to be on a roll with this. What's this graph going to do as soon as it leaves the floor? We'll go horizontal, continue to go up, or slope back down. Why? Because of gravity. Okay? So we got this action.
Complicated.
What's the slope of this line going to be, Cubby? Negative 9.8 meters per second squared.
Beautiful.
Right? Grand. So if you were to find this area here, what would the value of that area be?
Acceleration. I don't know.
Oh my God, Kendra. That's
What area are you
displacement.
talking to? Displacement. I'm sorry.
Displacement. Displacement.
Okay, we got it. We got it.
Displacement.
I thought you leave it alone.
Displacement is my friend.
Now, would this area here, Kendra, be smaller or bigger than this area?
Smaller.
Why?
Because it didn't go up as far.
Beautiful.
Oh crap.
So she misjudged but recovered nicely.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's all about the finish.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we're good. Got this. Now now we know what this is. Now we just have to figure out the numbers. What's the initial velocity of the ball? 0. We need to find the final velocity, right? Do we know a distance? Do we know a distance?
Yep. Yeah.
Do we know an acceleration?
Yep.
What can we use?
That.
That equation. Right? So we have v squared equals v naught squared plus 2ad. What's the only thing we don't know? We don't know time, but I don't care about time.
Velocity. Yeah, we don't know
Final
velocity. We don't know the
velocity.
velocity.
But I know the initial velocity.
Yeah, you know the initial velocity.
So I've got v squared, right? Because this is what I want to find.
Yep.
Is going to equal v naught squared, which is
0.
0. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides, right? I'm going to get some of this action going, right? So I can do this. I can do this. I can do this.
Disagreed,
Yes, I can't do this. Why?
because the height isn't 1.85.
Sure it is.
Not with the +1.
I don't know. You tell me why you can't do that.
Because it bounces and then it has a lower velocity.
No.
Yes, Tom.
What was the slope of this line, Cubby?
Negative 9.8 meters.
So what is the slope of my velocity? So that's the slope of my velocity time graph, right?
Yeah.
So guess what? I can't use positive 9.8.
Oh, I didn't even
You make
catch
the
that.
distance negative.
I was like,
Wouldn't
you
it the
forget
distance be
that,
negative because
or-
you're
I said that's it.
And then you gotta make it.
Yeah.
So I gotta make this
So
negative,
then you're displacement.
right? Now,
You're a
can I-
silly guy. Trying to trick us.
Yes, you're right, I am. So can I just leave this as positive?
No.
No, bad. Because then you get
An imaginary.
imaginary
numbers.
velocity. Try arguing that with a cop. There's an imaginary velocity.
Oh,
So can I just
let's
randomly make
let's
this
just slap a
negative?
negative on it. Just slap the little negative sign on there. Perfect.
Yeah. It's
Now the equation.
It's not like you told us never to do that.
But is there a basis for putting this negative sign?
Yeah, it goes down.
What's my initial position? 1.85. What's my final position? 0 minus 1.85 gives me... Now, when you work this on the test, you think I'm going to look for these negative signs?
Nope.
Not at all.
You go with that idea.
I will.
You go with that idea. Let's see how that works for you. So,
He got
somebody
you.
give me an answer.
6.8
6.02.
What'd you get?
6.02 meters per second.
6.02 meters per second.
Okay.
We cool?
Is that 1.5? 1.85?
1.85
Real
from
cool.
the favorite.
We're good.
We're so cool.
Wait, no,
We're
we're not
freaking
good.
as tight
Oh,
as
it's
brothers
plus-
from another
wait.
mother.
Plus or minus.
What are you plus or minusing?
This is bad. This is bad.
So it's negative?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, if you leave this, you say, I'm gonna drop it, it's gonna fall 1.85 meters and it's gonna be going up.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be really cool.
So, but because we're taking the square root, we just choose the.
We choose the negative root instead of the positive.
Oh.
Mr. Bird, you dirty.
You dirty.
Okay,
Chicken's coming back to roost.
I got G's. In Brooklyn.
Hey, Maddie, do you have an Instagram or Twitter?
Why?
Have you ever heard of the girl
No.
with the username Maddie? Okay.
Why was that needed to bring up right now?
I was just thinking about that, like
No, don't.
Maddie in the
Only
morning.
focus-
It'd be a
Oh,
really
no.
cool like.
No, only focus on this. Yeah. Okay, only focus on this.
Fatty Maddie in the morning.
It's like a radio show.
Seriously.
Yes, exactly. This is what I'm trying to
This
get.
Fat
Good
Maddie
business
in the
idea
morning
for you
with
because your name is
102.5.
There you go.
Thanks.
Fatty Maddie in the
The
morning.
nautical field might have more promising.
Fatty Maddie in the
I
morning.
hope so.
Okay,
That might be more promising for you.
now we need to find.
Yeah, you know it's funny. Yeah, you try. Oh, yeah, sick.
Now I need to find.
Finally got it. Sometimes you just gotta realize, like, life is more than physics, you know?
No, it's not. Coaching class fee.
Maddie.
Okay. So, Garfield, how can I find the velocity that it launches with?
V equals something something into something.
Do you have to know the mass of the floor?
Alright, how about
Somebody get out the news.
V equals V naught plus 280?
Okay. Could I use this equation again?
Yeah, you can.
Now, here's where you have to be careful. What are you searching for on the way up?
Velocity.
V naught or V?
V.
V naught. Because I know what my final velocity is. That's 0.
Hold on.
So, this is on the way down, right?
Correct.
So on the way up, we're still going to use V squared equals V naught squared plus 2AX.
Okay.
But now we're going to solve for
V naughts.
V naught. So V squared minus 2AX is going to equal V naught square root of all of this. What's my final velocity?
0.
It's 0.
Zero.
Minus 2 times. Okay, you're going to fall again, and I'm just going to have to laugh, and I don't want to. Okay?
Oh, we're good.
Now, what do I put in for X?
The distance it goes up.
Positive or a negative value?
Positive.
Positive. Why?
Because you'd
Because
have a
it's going
negative.
up.
It's going, my initial position
On
is
Tuesday.
0. My final position is 1. Now, is this velocity going to be a positive or negative number?
Positive.
This is going to be positive because now we're going on the way up. So, Kendrick, take basically the square root of 19.6.
4.43.
4.43.
Meters per second. Okay? So now, if we go back, now we know this number is, now at this point, do I have enough information to calculate the change in momentum of the ball when it's in contact with the earth? Do I know the mass of the ball?
Yes.
Do I know the initial velocity of the ball when it lands?
Yep. Yes.
Do I know the final velocity of the ball when it takes off?
Yep.
I can calculate my change in my momentum,
Sounds good, I guess.
right?
Yeah.
So the change in momentum of the ball is going to be mass times V minus V naught. Now, here's what you have to be careful of, and you have to think through this process. When you're looking at the ball landing, okay, this, when it lands, is going to be this V naught value, which is going to be that negative 6.02. The final velocity is going to be the 4.43, okay?
That's a big change in momentum.
Well, we got the mass of the ball, right, which is 0.254 kilograms. So the final velocity is going to be 4.43 meters per second minus the initial velocity, which is negative 6.02. So let me rewrite that a little bit better. So I've got
Ran out of room.
I got 0.254 kilograms times 4.43 minus, now here's where you have to watch that negative sign. So that's going to be a negative 6.02. So just don't subtract, oh, I'm just going to subtract 6.02. It's going to be 4.43 minus 6.02. Okay? So what do you get for your change in momentum? That's
2.65.
positive or negative?
Positive? Positive?
Okay? Positive 2.65 Newton seconds. Now, here's the tricky part. This is what you're calling here, this V here, this is where you get messed up. The V there, okay, right, is what we're calling this V over here. So this what you call V is the V naught that we're going to use in the change in the momentum. Okay? Then here, what you found for V becomes, what you found here is V naught becomes V in the change in the momentum.
You just gotta use common sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you think through the process, so
It's just
just
simple.
because you find V naught here, so this is the initial velocity that it has to go up to a height of 1 meter. So that's why I said if you draw the velocity time graph first, then you get an idea of, oh, okay, right, this is going to make sense. So then, if you get this, just if you draw this first, just make this sketch and go, hey, when it hits the ground, I got to have a negative number, okay, which is going to be my V naught, and then it's going to leave at 4.43. So even if you just look at this and go, okay, that's going to be a positive number minus a negative number, okay? Now, here's what's important, and all of this has to fit together in one big holistic idea. What's the sign of my change in my momentum for the ball? Positive, right? Change in momentum also equals what?
MV.
FT.
Force times time, right?
So you can find the force that's being acted on the ball.
Oh, I can find the force that's being acted on the ball.
It gives you time.
Because I gave you time.
It all makes sense.
Okay,
So
but
good.
now,
So good.
oh, shh, hold on. Now, what's the direction of the force acting on the ball when it's in contact with the floor?
Both ways.
Acting on the ball.
Both ways. Downward, upward.
Upward, right? We're not going to make the ball bounce up by providing a downward force on the ball.
Doesn't make any sense, right?
So, look, here's my change in my momentum, positive 2.65. So now, if you take this through the next step and you go, oh, okay, cool. I got a change in momentum. Change the color. So now, what did you get, Kendra, 2.65?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know your name was Kendra.
Okay.
Yeah, he
Now,
changed it.
This is the
Apparently
change in
so.
momentum of the ball. What does the ball hit?
The ground.
Bigger picture,
The earth.
the earth. So what's the change in momentum of the earth?
So we have to know the mass of the earth.
No, we don't. What's the change in momentum of the earth?
Negative 2.6.
Negative 2.65.
Why don't we all jump at the same time and see what happens?
What?
One
Okay?
state, in one state, everybody in the world gets in one state and jumps at the same
Hold on,
time. What would
just-
happen?
Just,
That's a good question. I don't get that.
Now-
I'm sure there's been enough research. now.
do I tell you how long the ball was in contact with the floor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So change in momentum also equals, as Mr. Taylor said, force times time. I have the time, right?
And you have
So-
to change it.
So I got 2.65 Newton seconds.
You just do it.
Now, Ms. Treadway, what do I divide change in momentum by to get force? Time. So what was the time? What did I give you in the time?
1.28 times 10 to the negative second.
1.28 times 10 to the negative second, right? It
Also
isn't in
known
contact very long. Basically, it's doink, okay?
A tenth of a second.
So the seconds cancel out, right? What am I left with?
Newtons.
Newtons. Check me, but I think that's what force is measured in. So-
Hold on.
Kendra,
Hold on.
take 2.65 divided by 1.28 times 10 to the minus second.
Stanley, you're just a
207.
Today.
Huh?
207.
207?
Mm-hmm.
Positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive, 207 newtons.
Yes.
Okay? So if this is the force on the ball, how much force does the ball exert on the earth?
negative
Negative 207.
7 Newton.
So the force on the earth
Freaking way, bro.
is
There's
going
no
to
way,
be
actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
negative 207 newtons. Because of, rhymes with Newton's third law.
Newton's third law.
Beautiful, well done.
Thank you.
Nice.
Wow.
You didn't give me any hints on that one.
No, you didn't.
Okay, so can I calculate the acceleration of the ball?
I mean, yeah.
You know the force
Yes.
acting on the ball. You know the mass.
Force equals MA.
Oh, force equals ma. Oh, I hadn't
You
talked
just
about
hung
that
up the sign
before.
today. That's probably what.
So, the force on the ball, right, we said was positive 207 newtons. Divide that by the mass of 0.254 kilograms. Kendra, what do I get?
Eight 14. 815. Sorry.
815 meters per second
Yes.
squared? Oh! Now,
That's ridiculous.
How
That
does
doesn't even
this-
seem to make sense.
how does the 815 relate all the way back to this velocity time graph?
That's the slope.
That's a slope where?
When it's expanding.
It hits the ground.
As soon as it hits the ground. So this whole thing has a slope of 815
That is
meters per second squared.
ridiculous.
So we just have, that's all we're trying to find.
So if you
Oh, we're
like,
trying to find the whole thing.
could you like, I just wonder like if you shot a bullet out of a gun and it hit the wall, like stuff, like a rubber ball out of a gun.
A rubber bullet?
Yeah. And then it bounces back off the wall. Could you
Imagine how fast that thing.
imagine?
Like a stationary.
That's cooking.
Okay.
That is fucking.
All right. So, does it make sense that we came up with the positive acceleration?
You go back.
Of course.
Yeah, because look, we hit here with negative velocity, we went to zero, we left with a positive velocity at a positive slope. I mean, just look at the line, it's positive. Okay, now, Mr. Taylor, how far do you want to go, all the way to the end?
Right here is good.
Okay, now, could I find the acceleration of the Earth?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you know the force acting on the Earth?
Yeah.
Do you know the mass of the Earth?
Yeah.
Can you find the acceleration of the Earth?
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be a big number?
Heck yeah.
No.
No. Oh no.
It's gonna be a
Heck really be moving
ever.
towards the ball.
Hopefully it's really, really small. I don't want the Earth to undergo an acceleration of 815 meters per second squared.
It's going pretty fast though,
That would be
right?
awkward. Okay, because I do this like the Earth would accelerate out. No, don't drop the ball, no! Okay? Whoa! Imagine Friday nights, everybody's dribbling the ball. Okay.
You crack me up, Stanley Berkshire.
Stan Lee.
You're the best.
Okay. Now, what's the mass of the Earth?
5.979.
5.979 times 10 to the 24th kilograms.
So what?
I got a pretty small.
What'd you get from the acceleration?
Do you have it?
Negative 3.46 times 10 to the negative 23rd.
Well, thank
Times
God.
10 to the negative what?
23rd.
Yeah. Pretty small number.
Yeah, that's pretty small.
And that's cool. Okay, I don't want that.
All right. So what's the mass of every human on the planet? Because then I can calculate this real
That's
quick.
about it. I mean, when you look at this mass, it isn't because, okay, where did all of the stuff that makes you up come from?
I don't know what.
No, I'm saying the mass of every human. What is it?
Well, I'm just telling you, it's the entire mass of the Earth. I mean, it's,
Okay.
because all we're doing is changing the
But this is what.
distribution
Hold
of it.
on. What I'm saying is, so everybody jumps at the same time, 1 meter high, and then lands.
Oh, it's like, there's this been done that you said you could cause like a major earthquake because everybody is going to exert
I
the
can't
same
even jump
force at the same time.
Right there.
So it'd be. Would it affect the orbit?
No, you
So what
just,
did you do?
it would just create more of like a seismic event. It wouldn't affect the orbit. And that's just
You
wrong.
can't jump 1 meter.
Okay, anyway, we're
Or we
good,
could
got
just,
it.
like, what if they take us 50 meters high and then drop us all at the same time?
I promise you, there's gonna be a problem like this on the test. There's gonna be a problem like this on the review. Make sure
You can do it.
problem.
So you did negative 207 divided by the mass of the Earth.
Okay, so this video that you're gonna watch deals with like car safety because I want to show you this because teenagers tend to think the rules of physics don't apply to them.
Yep.
Basically,
Honestly,
shows what happens in collisions when force times time equals change in momentum. So stop that for a second until I get that.
3
The
lives.
jaws of life.
2 of these victims will not survive the trip to the hospital. In the last 100 years, more Americans have died in car crashes than in all the wars the United States has ever fought.
Now, that's a stunning number. More people have been killed in car crashes than Civil War, Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea combined.
I don't believe that.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's
Are you just saying it's because you really care?
Whoa.
Wait, just American casualties or like?
Well, think
Yeah,
about how
I'm
many.
just talking about Americans,
And
okay?
Afghanistan.
Think about how many
Okay.
people drive though, and they're doing it every day.
But I'm just telling you, everybody says, oh, we haven't lost that many people. Literally. And the automobiles haven't been around relatively all that long. So that's what I'm telling you, is that more people have died in car crashes than if you add up all the deaths from all the wars combined.
But wasn't there more like they weren't always like super safe cars?
Oh, no, that's what you show.
Is there a way to make these devastating accidents survivable?
I think you watched this driver's ed.
This is Germany's infamous highway system, the Autobahn. For long stretches, there is no speed limit. Some cars cruise at 100 miles an hour and faster.
That would be me.
Occasionally, German police cameras monitor the roads. Most of the time, traffic flows in predictable patterns. But recently, the cameras recorded a shocking event. As shown on the
Watch the
small
far
screen in
right
the
up
lower
corner.
right, a Mercedes in the oncoming lane is about to round the far corner, traveling almost 150 miles an hour.
Boink, boink.
Oh, or the bottom.
Oh, I didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
Oh my God, it's still going.
that had a lot of kinetic energy.
A lot of momentum.
A lot of momentum.
Oh my gosh.
They're just dead.
So,
survived, right?
I think they did.
Playing back the tape, the police were able to see exactly what happened. The car was going too fast to make the turn.
Not
It
enough.
grazed the guardrail on the right, and the driver lost control.
Oh my gosh. How scary would that be?
After sliding 400 feet upside down, the car comes to a stop on the embankment, and the removable top flies off.
Oh my gosh.
If he's alive, I'm
Clearly, a horrifying accident. But what happens next is almost unbelievable.
He got out of the car?
Turns out, not only alive, but uninjured.
What?
But pretty badly shaken.
A lucky man, certainly, but he also
You
owes a
see him
large
sitting
debt of
in the corner.
gratitude to modern engineering.
Oh my
The
god.
driver in this car was very lucky because he survived a very severe accident with a special safety feature, which is in this model. As you can see, it's a rollover bar, and
Now,
this
obviously,
rollover
that
bar
only
is very
works if
stiff
you wear a
and
seatbelt.
helps to guarantee a certain survival space.
As the car tilts, sensors trigger the rollover bar to pop up, creating a space between the driver's head and the pavement. Wearing a seatbelt is crucial to keep the occupant inside.
Oh. That's
That was-
so close.
Before the rollover bar was introduced in
call people
1986, this kind of accident was unsurvivable. In the last 30 years, science and
Oh my
engineering have
God.
helped create much safer cars. Today, no new model hits the showroom without being rammed into walls, barriers, and other automobiles
Oh no.
to comply with international standards of
Absolutely.
safety.
That's the job I
But
want.
it wasn't always this
I would
way.
have crashed stuff.
Automobile safety came slowly.
Oh my
and
God.
in
Yeah,
these cases,
That's it.
They died. That's death. That's the one.
I was going like 5 hours.
Cars are just like death.
Now,
This is a 1929
focus
Chevrolet,
on the car
crash
seat,
tested
the
using
driver's seat.
today's standards.
It's out.
Well, cars of that
Oh
era
my
were
God.
To your point, the cars
They
weren't
were
as safe.
sheet metal nailed and screwed onto wooden frames, and so they were very insubstantial. And when we got into a serious crash, they pretty much disintegrated.
Survival in one of these motorized coffins was due mostly to luck and the fact that cars were slow and scarce. The automobile age began in Germany. Powered by a combustion engine, the first car was built by Carl Benz in 1886.
Carl.
For years, the automobile was considered a toy in Europe, meant only for the very rich. It was an entirely different story in America. Soon after the turn of the century, low-cost automobiles went on the market, and Americans bought them in staggering numbers, even if the roads weren't always ready for them. As the number of cars increased, so did accidents. By the early 1920s, more than 500,000 people had died in collisions. Yet nobody blamed the automobile. Accidents were considered an act of God, or a bad driver.
It was obvious to blame the driver, the human being, rather than the inanimate object, and so the automobile industry accepted that and therefore assumed that they had no responsibility for designing cars to be involved in accidents.
Automakers avoided the topic of car safety. Sales could be hurt if customers began to think of cars as dangerous machines. There was, however, one aspect of car design so lethal, everyone recognized the need to change it. Plate glass windows. A minor collision, even a small rock tossed up by a passing vehicle, could shatter a windshield, sending razor-sharp shards of glass inside. In 1910, a laboratory accident would lead to a major advance in glass safety when Edouard Benedictus, a French chemist, knocked a flask on the floor. To his amazement, the bottle broke but didn't shatter because it was coated with nitrocellulose, which had dried out, leaving an adhesive film on the inside. Benedictus didn't think much about the incident until he read of an auto accident in which a young girl's face was disfigured by flying glass. Moved by the reports, he went back to his lab. The result was a sheet of celluloid adhesive between two pieces of glass. Bonded together, they made one clear pane, the middle layer holding the lethal pieces in place. An improved form was first used in gas masks during World War I, but it took 16 years and an accident to get safety glass used in cars.
When Henry Ford was designing the Model A, one of his engineers was injured by flying glass from an accident, and he and Edsel Ford decided to offer it in all of the new Model A's, all of the Ford models.
Safety glass was considered such an important advance, car companies even advertised it.
Aha! The two-plate safety glass turns back even the pitcher's bullet deliveries. True, the glass cracked, but it did not shatter and fly like ordinary glass. Take a note of that, too, in choosing your next car.
Used in front windshields for almost 40 years, safety glass was an improvement, although far from perfect. This, called the glass necklace, was the unforeseen consequence of safety glass, graphically described in this film from the 1960s.
At impacts of from about 15 miles per hour and up, the glass will break out in a circular hole where your head strikes it. The edges of the hole flex. Your head goes on through. The glass bubble retracts with a collaring effect that entraps your head. When the reaction hurls you back, the flexible perimeter of the hole becomes a jagged weapon of lethal intensity.
The glass necklace caused serious lacerations of the neck and head, sometimes even decapitation.
Oh my God.
A glass more resistant to breakage was needed, but it couldn't be made so hard that an impact would cause serious neck
Yeah,
and
because
brain
if you look at
injuries.
it, it still has to give, or otherwise you're stopping
The
head
answer was to
frequency and
replace the
it imparts too
adhesive
much
with a
force.
middle layer of plastic that would stretch but not break.
Looks like something out of Aliens.
But in most cars, glass plastic is only installed in the front windshield,
Timmy goes bye-bye.
increasing the danger of ejection in side impact accidents.
He's gone. This is why seatbelts are a thing.
Yes.
By the mid-1920s, there were 22 million cars on American roads. The initial demand for automobiles had been satisfied, and sales were in a slump. To spur the market, General Motors instituted the annual model change.
The annual model change was invented by General Motors as a way to
back
get
when cars had
people
style.
to replace their cars sooner by basically making them obsolete. And it was wonderful. It was a wonderful gimmick which did increase sales and brought great profits, and the public loved it, but it had a negative impact on safety. Styling was where the resources were put, where the time and the investment was, and safety took a back seat.
Dazzled by the new styles, most of the car-buying public ignored the carnage on the roads. One accident at a time, cars were taking tens of thousands of lives every year and injuring millions. There was one Detroit physician fully aware of the
Don't watch the
problem.
next part.
Plastic surgeon Claire Straith spent most of his time repairing the faces of crash victims.
Kendra, this one.
Claire Straith.
I know, that's what
First
Maddie just
hero
said.
in the safety movement. He was the first to recognize that it was automobiles that injured people. It wasn't the accident was just the event, but it was the collision between the passengers and the inside of the car that caused the injuries.
Even in minor accidents, serious injuries would result when the human body met up with the car's interior. Protruding knobs could rupture an eye or sever a nose. Rock-hard dashboards fractured skulls and caused debilitating, crushing injuries. Claire Straith's granddaughter, Janet Straith husband.
He would have gotten in this car and first noticed this rearview mirror.
Hi, I'm Janet
This
husband.
glass across the front, sharp edges up here. He would have then gone to the dash in the front of the car and seen its hard surface. And then he would have attributed the steering wheel to crushing chest injuries and actually, in some cases, impalement on the metal post that supports the driver's wheel.
Dr. Straith came up with a simple idea that could prevent such horrible injuries.
It was just a foam rubber pad. My father has kept us all these years because he remembers driving around with it in his cars. It was placed over on the dash, attached with two little screws.
And the whole point was to
occupants
increase
against the knobs and
to
gauges
decrease
and glass.
Beautiful.
And it was soft, but yet firm enough to provide some protection for the occupants of the car.
Claire Straith designed numerous pads to fit all different makes and models of cars and tried to market his invention, but it was never a commercial success.
He even talked to Walter Chrysler and Preston Tucker and tried to convince them of the design changes that were necessary to protect patients and his patients, but passengers in the automobiles.
The 1937 Dodge was a direct result of Claire Straith's talk with Walter Chrysler. It had a safety smooth dashboard with knobs that were recessed. The dash was raised to prevent knee injuries, and the front seat back was padded to protect passengers in the rear. The 1937 Dodge was an improvement, but it had little influence on the auto industry as a whole. Safety would not be its focus for many years.
The auto companies didn't have safety departments the way they do today. There was no basic scientific research. The fundamental work in this area was due to the efforts of one man, Hugh DeHaven, who for the first 20 years financed his own research into this new and very important area.
Hugh DeHaven's interest in safety began with a plane crash during World War I. He was engaged in a practice dogfight and both planes went down. The other pilot walked away, but DeHaven spent months in the hospital wondering why he alone was so badly injured. That question became DeHaven's life's work and that of his friend and colleague, Colonel John Stapp.
Hugh DeHaven invented the art and science
So
of
this guy did a bunch
crash
of little
investigation.
background on this guy. He's a doctor, and he basically agreed to subject himself to large G-forces. And this is at the time before the NASA, like the space program, because they had to figure out just how much G's a human body could withstand and still function. So he agreed to basically be the test dummy in all of these. And so you actually did a problem with him back in the acceleration unit where it said you strap to a rocket car and it speeds up or slows. I don't remember what it does. So he kind of looks, well, he's this old man. Well, this old man did all the research that allowed us to go to the moon.
Wait, he did like at this age or like when he was younger when he did all
Yeah.
the G's? Oh, okay.
Yeah, this would have been done in like the 40s and 50s.
And he was a relentless fanatic whose gospel was, these are not acts of God, they're failures of machinery and negligence and failures of people.
CBS Television brings you the certain.
In 1954, more than 35 years after his plane crash, a documentary about DeHaven's work at Cornell University aired on CBS.
This is the American road. This is where 35,000 of you have a rendezvous with death every year.
The scientists at Cornell studied the forces that injure the human body. To obtain measurements, they bounced plastic heads on dashboards.
This drop will be from the seated position.
And dropped tin men onto knobs.
Yes, those are the precursors to crash test
They
dummies.
even studied some human oddities, like the story of Louis Zito, who lost his balance while working on top of this smokestack and fell 15 stories down.
Well, I think it was just plain luck.
He's doing
Luck,
this.
certainly, but science had a lot to do with Zito's amazing survival.
Director of crash insurance.
Hugh DeHaven analyzed the plunge.
In this case, Mr. Zito, who had fallen from the stack here, fell a distance of almost 150 feet and achieved a speed of approximately 60 miles an hour, 62 miles an hour when he hit the ground.
At that speed, Zito should have died on impact.
So came out of the...
What interested DeHaven was why he didn't.
Well, he hit in structure which was not solid concrete, luckily, and the rubble where he hit acted as an energy-absorbing agent. And as the force was well distributed on his body, there was no localized force which caused any injury.
Zito's survival proved that even severe impact forces can be reduced with padding. But what kind and how much? To test different materials, DeHaven's team used the most fragile object they could think of and dropped it 15 feet down.
I like the sound of it.
The materials developed at Cornell would eventually find their way into automobiles. But DeHaven knew that padding wouldn't solve all the problems, and he proved it with some of the earliest crash tests on record.
The snubby platform, and you're going to be able to see for the first time what happens to people in a car like this when this powerful force meets an immovable object.
With crash tests, they would prove the central foundation of DeHaven's work, that for every accident, there are really two collisions. The first one occurs when the car crashes into an object.
Now the same crash in slow motion. Watch the little fellow in the rear.
The second one, when unrestrained occupants inside the car collide with the dashboard, windshield, or even the back seat.
Yeah, Timmy.
Folded up like an accordion almost, didn't it?
Yes, they find him in weird positions after a crash.
Do you think he might have survived?
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
It's the
As a matter
second
of fact, I
collision
doubt
that
it.
kills and injures, and Hugh DeHaven knew the best way to prevent it. Seatbelts.
Here's the same crash in slow motion with the dummies strapped in this time. Again, watch that little fellow in the back seat.
The occupant is safely held in place, riding down the impact forces. As a result of Hugh DeHaven's studies and his relentless advocacy of seatbelts, automakers began to offer them in cars in 1955.
Yeah,
Not
it
as
wasn't
standard
until
equipment, but as an
1955 that
option.
you could even get seatbelts in cars.
Called lap belts
Yes.
or two-point belts because they attached to the car frame at 2 points. They were an important improvement in safety, but they weren't perfect. Head injuries, while less severe, still occur.
Now watch what happens though. So it's just around the
Spinal
lower
injuries were
waist.
possible.
Oh.
And sometimes, when the belt was placed too far above the hips,
Watch
serious
this rib
abdominal
cage.
injuries could result.
Oh my gosh.
In the 1950s, aware of the problem with lap belts, Volvo tried a diagonal belt that went across the chest, but it too had some fatal flaws.
Fatal.
Retired safety engineer Niels Bolin.
This diagram
So I would find the.
has two important shortcomings. First,
Okay, I will.
it will cause submarine due to the fact that the strap is located far above the center of gravity.
He's like Santa
So
Claus.
at the crash, the body will move down. We try to slide out of the strap, and the belt will dig into your neck and causing neck injuries, and also decapitation of your head.
Yeah, he's still a matter of fact, that's decapitation of your head.
Niels Boleyn would come up with a solution, simple but very effective. He demonstrates it using the same prop that De Haven used some years earlier. First, without a belt.
The human being is as fragile as an egg. So let's see now what happens with the egg in the crash. We are ready to go?
It's a sad egg.
And now I would like to show how to save the egg from injuries in the crash. I picked a happy egg because you know it's going to be restrained in a 3-point next to the head.
The 3-point lap shoulder belt worked because it restrained the two strongest parts of the body, the hips and the chest, with a single belt that was anchored by 3 connections to the car frame.
1, 2, 3.
Niels Boleyn holds the patent for the single most effective
That's a
safety
cool
device
patent
in
to have.
any vehicle. First installed in the 1959 Volvo, it took more than a decade for 3-point seatbelts to be required in American cars.
He has a patent on that?
That same year, Bella Barini, an engineer at Mercedes, came up with a safety concept that would completely change.
Okay, we'll try and finish the boat thing. Let us make for this one.